Hey, it's Joey Thurman. I'm excited to bring you season 2 of the Fad or Future podcast. We live in a world where information is everywhere, easy to access, and sometimes not always accurate, especially in the health and wellness space, which is exactly why I created this show. There's two sides to every story, and I'm here to present both and let you decide, is it a fad or is it the future? Health fads come and go, but the science behind them is what makes them work. Or fail. I'm bringing the experts to you and putting the facts on the table so you can decide how and where to put your efforts in your own personal health and wellness journey. What's up? It's Joey Thurman. Here's another episode of the Fad or Future podcast from my messy hotel room in Los Angeles, looking at traffic right now, but mountains are behind, so that's quite beautiful. A little different than Chicago. Should you take a supplement for your supplement? That sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, in front of me, I got my buddy Lewis here from NuLiv Science, and they have a new product that is out that we're going to talk about. But Lewis, buddy, thanks for coming on. So what is NuLiv? What do you do really specifically?
So I guess NuLiv would be kind of classified as an ingredient supplier.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our customers or clients will kind of get us mixed up with a contract manufacturer, which those are the people who actually create products for sports nutrition brands. NuLiv Science is an ingredient supplier. So what we really focus on and hone in on is doing scientific studies around the ingredients that our research team has developed in-house. So we kind of create the ingredients that we're marketing. So we have a small portfolio of ingredients that our scientific team has created from ground up. And then we also offer a few common products like mushroom products that are common out there in the market.
Interesting. So you have your own supplements too, but are you also putting your own ingredients in other people's supplements?
Yeah. So NuLiv Science in particular, we don't have our own, I would say, product line.
Mm-hmm.
We focus mainly on selling the raw ingredient material to a sports nutrition brand out there that wants to maybe make a pre-workout or a protein powder. So we wouldn't have like a NuLiv Science protein line that we would sell.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of focus on the actual ingredient itself and kind of work with the brands. And based on what they want to create, we'll kind of advise them.
Okay. Now, so, I mean, you guys are talking about ingredients, and how do you know that your ingredients are, pure and effective? Because you see a lot of these things. People like, don't buy cheap multivitamins or something from Walmart. Not trying to take out Walmart, but by any means. But something like if you're paying $15 for a thing of protein powder, you probably shouldn't have it because it's full of a bunch of crap. I mean, how do you guys know the purity of what you're having, and how do you look into that process? Because I think a lot of people don't really know about supplement industry, and they're really confused as to what they specifically should be taking, and it doesn't make sense for them.
So really what we do is, our research teams or our manufacturing plant will essentially kind of create, the Astragin, which we'll talk about later on, or one of our other ingredients. They'll basically provide us all the specs to that specific ingredient. And then what NuLiv does is we'll send the batch that we have, we'll send it out to a third-party testing facility to essentially guarantee, what we're saying is in the product or how it's kind of created is actually what it is. It's 100% genuine. And then even at that point, we'll give all those documents to our clients so that they can kind of see the testing that we've done. But depending on how big the client or the customer is, they may even take it a step further and send it out to another testing facility that they trust. So there's especially now in our day-to-day, kind of like what you were saying, you don't really know what you're getting. A lot of our customers, even though we had the third-party testing in-house, we'll send them documents. They actually go out of their way to do it again as well. So there's a lot of checking now.
Okay. So what should people look for on a supplement to know if that is something that is safe, obviously consult with your healthcare provider, but to know if it is something that is, safe ingredients? Are there specific things that stick out that should see, if it's got this third-party test on there, or if it has these specific ingredients? Is there anything that they can know for sure?
Yeah, so the third-party testing, some of the supplement lines out there will put, third-party tested by X, Y, and Z. They'll put it on their label. For the brands, they kind of go about it as they see fit. But for an ingredient supplier like NuLiv Science, we do go through the process of getting certain certifications or certain approvals. So, for example, here in the U.S., Astragin has self-affirmed GRAS, which is generally regarded as safe.
Hmm.
It's one of the certifications you can get just to kind of show your end client that you've done specific toxicity testings or heavy metal testings, so they don't have to worry about that. Europe has novel foods. So kind of like you said, we're going to talk about Astragin. Astragin is novel food in Europe.
Hmm.
They're a little bit more stringent than over here in the US. So there's companies like ours, ingredient suppliers, that can go and do certain testings to show that we've done a very thorough analysis of our ingredient, and that the end consumer doesn't have to worry about the safety of it.
Yeah.
And then the brands can kind of either add that to their label or put it into their marketing any way they see fit.
Okay. So, and this is kind of like a side note, but I find that Europe has better standards for lots of things. I mean, even children's products. I mean, this is crazy. So, right, this cord in front of me probably has lead in it.
Yes.
Lead should not be consumed or touched by children, right? It absorbs in there, and lead crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it could cause all sorts of issues.
Yes.
But in Europe, you can't have lead in like cords or anything, and then in the States, like you don't even have to have a label on these things, but supplementation, there's all sorts of, I feel like, I think it's kind of the grass is greener type thing as well. But
it is. They're definitely more detail oriented and more stricter when it comes to it. It took us a much longer time to get the novel food status than it did to get GRAS for Astragin. They're very much more on the details.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah, if you guys are getting a product from Europe and it has that, what novel foods you said?
Yeah, novel food status is over there.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because I know some other organizations, and then you've got was that the Olympic Committee? What's the one where it's safe for USF or something? What is that? Where there's like a third party testing where it's specifically safe for sports too, so they don't have anything in there.
So some of our ingredients will have like informed choice certified, and kind of like, so if you're going to compete in like a competition or something like that, it's essentially like a certification to guarantee you're not taking any banned substances. So we kind of went that route as well. So there's a lot of different certifications depending on what type of product you're making.
Okay. So you guys you have other products. You mentioned mushroom products too.
Yes. So NuLiv actually started or was founded in 1997.
Mm-hmm.
Their very first ingredient that they really focused on and brought over to the U.S. I believe they were the second company to bring cordyceps to the U.S.
Mm.
So they really founded on the medicinal mushroom side of things. They've been used in traditional Chinese medicine for thousands of years. And our research labs and our manufacturing plant is over in China, Shanghai. So they started with the traditional Chinese medicine, mushrooms, cordyceps, and after 4 or 5 years, they started to delve into different ingredients. But our company was really founded on what are the traditional Chinese herbs that have been proven to be effective for human consumption. And our company's done a lot of studies just to kind of see what can astragalus do for the human body, what are the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And from that all those different studies that they've done, they've created certain ingredients to do certain things for the human body.
Interesting. What are your top ones that you like as far as the mushrooms, cordyceps that really seem to be effective for people?
So the most popular by far, both on a personal side and as a business side, our biggest seller by far is our cordyceps mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
It just has so many different uses, whether it be for vitality, energy, increased oxygen production, immune benefits. So that's by far our biggest seller. I would say our most popular or most asked about right now is our Zalaria product. It's Zalaria night grapes. It's another one of those mushrooms that have been used for a very long time. But the benefits for that is really when it comes to increasing the amount of sleep you get, increasing GABA production, reducing stress. So with everything going on today, it's getting a lot of interest. But cordyceps by far is our most popular.
Interesting. And are those come in like, what do you guys sell them in? Is it specifically just like powders or teas or all sorts of different stuff?
Yeah, so all the ingredients that NuLiv provides are all going to be like grounded up powders.
Okay.
Depending on what ingredient it is, it's a little bit more fine than one of the other ones,
Yeah.
but all come in a powder form.
Okay. Yeah, you'll see a lot of those things, especially in like the greens, supplements and powders. It says
Yes.
reishi or cordyceps or whatever. I mean, I even had a company that sent me on Shocker, guys. People send me stuff for free. I had a company send me a bunch of different teas with different things and different mushrooms. Actually, I hate mushrooms to
Yes.
chew, but in a tea
Oh,
wasn't bad.
yeah, they're good. They're really
It
good.
wasn't bad. I don't know. I looked at the backs. I'm like, okay, they got to add sugar or something to this, but
Yeah,
I it actually actually was pretty delicious.
yeah, I just had I'm trying to get it slowly away from the coffee. It's really hard to kick.
Yeah.
I feel like I have too much caffeine, but I just recently had a coffee with a lot of adaptogens in it. I had like lion's mane, cordyceps, and it actually gave the coffee a more robust, like flavorful without having to add any of the milks, the sugars. Those are actually really good.
Yeah, yeah, it does have more of like a rich like thickness flavor to it.
Yeah.
I was really surprised. It was black like coffee when I
Yep.
just did the tea. Because as I said, I'm in LA, so I did a cut before this. So I was like literally cutting off a caffeine too, so I can
Okay.
take it before my shoot. So it's actually effective because I was doing lots of coffee.
Yes.
But yeah, really interesting. Well, let's get into. I mean, Astragin is this is like, as I said at the beginning, it's a supplement almost for supplements. And in the age of people who are just popping pills and get up in the morning and taking 20 different things. And I mean, why create a product that needs to be taken with another product that be more useful? So tell me a little bit about the research behind Astragin and why you guys felt like it was necessary to, create this and put this into additional supplements.
Sure. So our company was really founded on the traditional Chinese beliefs, and what they've discovered from the area in China where our company was developed to the U.S. is they really found that people in the U.S. they like to indulge a little bit more when it comes to their diet,
Mm-hmm.
and
Shocker.
on this side, the refined sugars and the simple carbohydrates and everything that is digested in the body that is not really ideal for the body or the small intestine to have, really kind of messes with the intestine itself. And you have a lot of people over here who have issues with their stomach. They have acid reflux. They have IBS. So really the idea behind Astragin was to really help that gut function optimally. And for anybody who's going to either take a supplement or product, or if they're eating food, we want to make sure that the nutrients that is stated on the fact sheet or the supplement fact sheet, the nutrition label, that you're absorbing as much as you possibly can. Your body's getting as much out of that product as it states on there.
So you're saying that people aren't absorbing enough of the nutrients that they're intaking.
Right. A lot of people who have, whether it be stomach issues, if they get migraines, things like that, it's a lot of it can come down to being deficient in a certain, vitamin or nutrient in your body. A lot of people do those, 23andMe or those certain tests to kind of see if their body doesn't absorb like something like a vitamin B12 efficiently,
right.
Based on your DNA. So there's a lot of things like that. So if you are taking Astragin, we've done over 24 preclinical studies. We're doing human studies as we speak. And we're testing essentially everything that the end consumer would want to know, whether it be, does it help with protein? Does it help with CBD? Does it help with vitamins? Does it help with, fish oils? So we're trying to cover the full spectrum to show, your product may say there's 25 grams of protein in here, but once it goes through the entire body, the intestinal tract, the chances of you actually getting that 25 milligrams of protein with, the average consumer's, intestine or, body is very minimal.
Right.
So we're trying to increase the body's ability to, get those nutrients.
So what do you feel like is the main driver why people aren't absorbing all this? I mean, you're not going to absorb all the food, and you're going to excrete a lot of it in waste. I mean, eggs is probably the closest that you're going to absorb most of the protein with
Right.
the bioavailability. So when I say bioavailability, just how much you're absorbing.
Yes.
So what, I mean, is the driver like gut issues? Is it just environmental? Do you guys have any idea why we're not absorbing it? I mean, food quality, I'm sure there's probably a little bit in all this, but is there one main factor that you have found that Astragin seems to help with?
We're finding the most research that we've done, we're finding that the biggest issue that we're coming across, or the general population is coming across, is the diet that they have on a daily basis. The gut is directly linked to the brain, and the more inflamed that someone's gut is, it's really going to kind of make someone like insulin resistant. There's going to be a lot of issues if you have an inflamed gut. So one of the benefits that we don't really talk a lot about with Astragin is, yes, it helps the body, increase absorption of those nutrients, but we've also done studies where it shows to repair or decrease the inflammation in the gut. So it kind of covers twofold of the main issues of what, the human gut.
So could people, I mean, when people hear gut, they probably think probiotic, which I know people don't think prebiotic. I guess prebiotic's a little more known, or postbiotic. I mean, would this kind of be able to be classified as either like a prebiotic or anything, or is this just more something that's just bringing down inflammation?
I wouldn't say it would be classified as like a prebiotic or probiotic. We do get a lot of brands that create, marketed prebiotics or probiotics that will add or want to add Astragin to it because of what it actually does. But I wouldn't say it would be classified as one of those.
Okay, interesting. All right, so actually, I've got the bottle right here. So it says amplifies absorption, 41% amino acids, 33% creatine, and 39% omega-7. So it's 100% plant-based. So, I mean, people taking that, how do you go about taking it? You just pop a pill and it's going to absorb as much as possible. I mean, is there any recommended way to specifically take this? Because, a lot of people listening are taking a lot of supplements, and you said that one of their main drivers is a poor diet, so they should probably start eating better too. But what's the recommended dosage, if you will?
So all the clinicals that we've done is based off of 50 milligrams daily. If you're not a gym goer, if you're not taking any type of supplementation, the best time to take it would be as soon as you wake up in the morning, right before breakfast. That way you can kind of last in your body for the 24-hour time frame, which it typically shows peak results. After that, it kind of slacks off. That's why we recommend it once a day.
Okay.
If you're a gym goer, you're taking any pre-workouts, you're taking proteins, both from personal usage and from our clinical data, the best time to take it would be in combination with your pre-workout. If it doesn't have a nutrient absorption ingredient in the pre-workout, a lot of them do nowadays. A lot of companies are, really starting to become more aware of how important it is to absorb what the actual label says. So, if you have a nutrient absorption in, say, your pre-workout, your BCAA, then you can take it with maybe your protein powder, which there's some brands now that are starting to put, Astragin and a few others, digestive enzymes in their proteins. So it depends really on what products you're taking. But I would say, 90% of our customers are taking it with their pre-workout products.
Okay. I mean, yeah, if you're popping a pre-workout beta-alanine and citrulline and all that other stuff, that's going to make very itchy skin. I mean, you might as well take it. Actually, the first time I ever took something with beta-alanine, I took it, man, I thought I was getting a sunburn from the inside out. I took like double the dosage and it's all tingly. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And my elbows were all red. And then 20 minutes in, it was okay. I think I took it with the Red Bull back in my early training days.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Not a good idea. Don't do that.
Never done that.
I was a 23-year-old kid with, just like frosted hair and overly tan. So, all right. So, what do people look for on a supplement? I mean, you said like kind of digestive enzymes. Would Astragin be put on there? Like, how can they know that a product has something, I mean, whether it's yours or some other competitor that helps with the nutrient absorption?
There's two themes that are going on in the sports nutrition sector that if you're an end consumer, I would definitely look for. The first thing is fully disclosed labels. And what I mean by that is when you look on the back of a supplement fact sheet, it'll show you what's in the product. And most brands now are putting the exact amount of each ingredient. So if there's beta alanine creatine, it'll say beta alanine 2.5 grams, creatine 3 grams. So you want to look for those products that are distinguishing the amount of each ingredient that's in there. And then when it comes to ingredients like Astragin or other ingredient suppliers, companies that specifically do studies on the ingredients that they're marketing, for a brand to use that ingredient, they have to either put our logo on there, and they have to put a trademark sentence on the label. It'll say, Astragin is a trademark of NuLiv Science USA.
Yeah.
And every ingredient supplier that has created or patented an ingredient, they'll have almost the same exact requirement. So if you just look on the back of the label, there'll be a section. Almost every product nowadays has some type of patented ingredient.
Okay.
So you can just kind of look on the back, see what ingredient it is. If you're not familiar with it, you can just kind of look it up and you'll see exactly what that product is for. So those are the two biggest selling points right now in the sports nutrition product. It's fully disclosed labels and the usage of ingredients like Astragin, because there's a lot more science behind them.
Sure. So, I mean, how is somebody going to know, they start taking Astragin daily, whether it's with their supplements, pre-workout, protein, whatever. I mean, is this something tangible that people feel that they're taking, or is there something that, I mean, I probably take 30 pills a day. So how do I know which one is actually doing the work and working for me? Do you guys have anything that people could like, oh, wow, this must be because I've been taking Astragin. I feel this specific way.
Certain ingredients that we sell, say like Synactive, that's an ingredient that you're going to feel probably the first time you take the ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
Astragin is a little bit more of, if you're an avid gym goer and let's say you've been plateaued or you're just kind of going through the motions, you'd be someone who would notice the effects more so than someone who just, kind of goes every so often or has, the traditional diet. We've heard, some of our end consumers have said, they have a little bit more energy, but because, it's a non-stimulant, all-natural ingredient,
right.
And really the only thing that it does is it increases, transporter molecules to have your body increase more nutrient uptake. That's not really something that you're going to be able to be cognizant of.
Right.
So you may feel a little bit more energy, but for, someone who's just taking it, you wouldn't have like an immediate reaction to it. Okay. Certain ingredients will, but not Astragin.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, where are the, so you guys got proprietary blend. I mean, what are some of the ingredients in Astragin? I mean, where specifically, I mean, and why do you call it Astragin?
Yeah, so Astragin is a combination, or it's composed of two medicinal plants. The first one is Astragalus membranaceus, and the second one is Panax noda ginseng. Both of those plant extracts are very common. They've been used forever, both in the sports nutrition sector, traditional Chinese medicine. There's a lot of research behind both plants. But what we've done with Astragin to develop it and be able to patent it and trademark it is we've done a multitude of studies on both plants, and we found that certain parts of the plant or certain compounds inside each plant, because the plant will have 12, 15 compounds, in one plant. Mm-hmm. We found that certain compounds will give the benefit that we want the end consumer to have. So certain compounds in the Astragalus and the Panax noda ginseng plants, will increase absorption, decrease inflammation. So from all the studies that our research team has done, they've isolated the compounds that they saw the best results with and took each compound and put it into one compound.
Okay, and then you're obviously testing that combination of compounds together.
Yes.
Because I know there's some like product labels and stuff like these ingredients have been shown to do this and these ingredients, but they don't ever really put it together in their own
Yes.
formulation,
Yeah.
so
There's a lot of ingredient suppliers that NuLiv is more of what we specialize really in is we're a research facility first. So we do a lot of research. We have a ton of excess research, and we eventually get around to analyzing it and then developing an ingredient. So kind of like what I said before, we started with the mushrooms, and we had all this data before 1997, and it took us 4 years to get around to analyzing all the information that we've done to develop Astragin. So we start with the science. We don't ever kind of go out and purchase another ingredient and try and sell it. We're all about developing in-house, going through the studies that we've conducted ourselves, and then we'll eventually be releasing ingredients and products.
okay. Interesting. I mean, and that speaks volumes, because I think a lot of people that when they're taking things, or these companies are just putting stuff out there, and as people know, it's a kind of wild west in the supplement industry. So it's nice to know that there are people that are actually doing this.
Yeah.
Is this complete? I mean, you said this is generally recognized as safe. Is there any side effects that you guys have noticed at all?
So we've tested. So in order to get something like novel food status in Europe, we have to do certain toxicity studies with a certain level of dosages, and we get a lot of questions on like what's the max amount of action you can take without getting a side effect.
Yeah.
We've actually tested it 1,000 times. So we've had consumers take 5,000 milligrams a day with no reported side effects whatsoever. We have a lot of professional athletes, kind of like the Pro Line bottle that you have.
Mm-hmm.
We never used to sell those. We would send them specifically to athletes that we found on Instagram,
Yeah.
whether it be pro level boxers, Olympic athletes, and we would give them the recommended doses of 50 milligrams or 100 milligrams, but they would end up taking multiple pills because they found the more they took, the better they felt. So we had to make sure it was safe. So we don't ever come across somebody who's taking more than 5,000 milligrams. It'd be very hard to do. You don't want to take that many pills in a day. So there's no negative side effects that we have up to that dosage.
Okay, so I mean, you'd basically be needing to take almost an entire bottle.
Yeah, it would be a lot.
I was like, okay, there's 100. All right, yeah. Have you tested this on kids? Do people give their children this? Is this something that you would have seen or would recommend?
So we get a lot of questions when it comes to, can kids take estrogen? Can someone who's pregnant take estrogen? And both on our research team side and when it comes to the professionals that work at Novel or GRAS, all of the studies are based around the general population.
Yeah.
So we don't really test on kids or someone who's pregnant. So it's not that we're saying it's not safe, but we wouldn't sit here and recommend it for like specific children's product.
Yeah.
They've done studies on children for up to maybe 6 months where they took something like an estrogen or a ginseng with no negative side effects. And then there's some studies that were longer than 6 months or over a year and a half span. So the evidence is kind of up in the air, which is why we wouldn't recommend it if you're looking solely for something for your kid.
That makes sense. So do you guys have any opponents or any kind of naysayers? Like what do you get from people generally if they hear about this? I mean, you don't need to take this, it's useless, there's another pill to pop. I know a lot of I know so many different dietitians and nutritionists, and some be like, hey, you need to take a supplement, you need to supplement your diet. And now there's a supplement for a supplement. And some people are like, well, you don't, you should get it all of your nutrition via food, which is very difficult to do. But what are some of the opponents saying? And do you guys have any rebuttal to that?
I would say for the opponents, so there's a lot of ingredient suppliers. A lot of ingredient suppliers will specialize in a multitude of different ingredients for X, Y, and Z results. Specifically similar to estrogen, I would say we have maybe one specific competitor where they don't really say anything about estrogen. There's nothing negative to say. They really kind of focus in on the differences of how estrogen functions inside of the body compared to what theirs does.
Mm-hmm.
So the most common ingredient that would be compared to estrogen would be some form of a black pepper extract or a peppermint extract.
Okay.
They're both marketed towards nutrient absorption. The biggest difference is how they actually function inside the body.
Okay. Now, is there, have you looked at the comparative difference in those?
So a lot of the differences for the black pepper extract, or the companies out there, I don't want to name the exact company. So Astragin, what it does is it naturally increases the transporter molecules inside of the small intestine that are naturally there. It just essentially makes them work more. It upregulates them and makes them functions at a higher level. For the peppermint extracts, it works more on a thermogenesis type of idea where it's either going to inflame the intestine a little bit or heat up. And that's kind of how the nutrients are absorbed a little bit more.
Okay.
So without working with that competitor specifically, that's kind of what we gather.
Right.
It's just really how they function inside the body. And unless you take black pepper extract and Astragin, you wouldn't really notice the difference.
Right. Okay. Louis, anything else you want to tell everybody?
Not really. I would just say, NuLiv Science, like I said, is one of those that, if you're really worried about the safety and the science behind it, we're probably the most reputable out there. When it comes to the way we do the studies, the publications that our ingredients get into, we're very proud of the publications that we can get into. The scientific journal community is very hard to crack, and they're very, very strict on what they're going to publish.
Yeah.
And we've been fortunate enough to have some of our ingredients and some of our trials be published in some of the top scientific journals in the country. So that's really all I would say.
Yeah. And you guys are in a plethora of products that I'm sure people are completely aware of, but you didn't know that, a NuLiv Science product was, inserted into that, because most people aren't reading the labels that thoroughly or looking for your brand label. You grab a water and it's made by a different company and people don't really know, but very reputable. Where can people find out about you guys?
It would be nulivscience.com.
Okay.
Also, we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. But more than likely, if you're an avid gym goer, you take any type of sports nutrition supplement, just check the back of the label. And I would say, 60, 70% of the time, you're going to see Astragin or one of our ingredients in there.
Okay. One last question. What do you think the future of nutrition science is?
I would say, honestly, the outlook is very bright for us. We were one of the fortunate, industries that really weren't affected by the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything, it really brought more awareness to our industry. People are a lot more cognizant of their health, especially their immune support system. So it's definitely a great time to take a little bit more inventory of, how you're living your life, what type of diet you have. And supplements are not, they're not the fix, but it's a great time to kind of look at what you're taking. And if you're not taking anything, kind of see what the market has to offer. And, it can only be a benefit.
All right. Makes sense, man. All right, Louis, thanks for being on. Everybody check out NuLiv Science. I'm Joey Thurman. Here's another episode of the Fad or Future podcast. Remember, don't be a fatty, FADDY, be a part of the future. Cheers.